Hi guys, Mike here again. Just do the second part of this David and King Saul. Just leadership principles. Just a couple of things. I've just been sitting in this book in 1 Samuel 17 for most of the lockdown. Actually, I've been back and forth out of it, seen some things I've never seen before. Fourth thing is this: David was decisive. He knew what had to be done, and I think it's a principle in life. When we do what we know that has what we have to do, we just do it. That's good leadership. Verse 26, he says this. He says, "What? Who's going to remove this disgrace from Israel?" Goliath was coming out each day. He was taunting them. He was blaspheming God. He's saying all sorts of things. Whereas the opposite of that, you see, with Saul, Saul just stood around for 40 days. He had his own quarantine. The day that Goliath started coming out, Saul did nothing for 40 days until David turned up and just did what he knew to do. The fifth thing is this: David carried his own anointing. It was not a burden for him, but Jesus said, "Take my yoke upon you. It's light, it's easy." And David understood that. He had his own anointing. He had his own yoke, which was easy because it was with God. So he didn't try to, he couldn't handle the armor that Saul was trying to put on. And he just said, "No, this is what I'm called to do. Give me my staff, give me my slingshot. There's some stones. I'm on my way." So it was light and it was burden. That's in verses 39 and 40, where Saul's way was heavy. That armor in itself was heavy. Sixth thing is that godly leadership is different from worldly leadership. And you see that in verse 40. Whereas, David, that's just what I said David did. He carried his anointing. And his leadership was quite different than Saul. Saul's a picture of the world. What Saul tried to do in verse 38 is he tried to dress David up in the way of the world, which was Goliath. He had the same type of chain armor on. He had the bronze helmet on. And David just said, "Nah, that doesn't work." Seventh thing is this: David was quite happy and quite content to be unliked. Remember, he goes in, his brothers actually attack him and say, "You're conceited, you're arrogant, you just come here for the battle. Who do you think you are?" And David instantly turns around to other men and says, "What will be done to the guy who gets rid of Goliath?" So he moved on from his brothers. He didn't let his life be shaped. Imagine if he had let his life be shaped by what his brothers said. Whereas Saul, he's what I call a Facebook leader, an Instagram leader. It says at the beginning of chapter 17 that David's brothers followed Saul. Enough said. And the last point is this: David was not intimidated where Saul was intimidated. So I'll leave those with you. Know God, carry your anointing, spurn popularity, know that God's called you, be a leader. Bless you. Do the right thing. See ya.